Welcome to Study Session 8, Feasibility Studies, Part 3. Introduction. This unit discusses the market studies, demand analysis, the analysis of financial structure section of feasibility study. The purpose of market studies in project analysis is to estimate a potential demand for the products of the project and its growth rate over a number of years. In market studies, we consider certain important factors which includes the government regulation regarding the projects, the competitors available in the market, the product's current price prevailing in the market, and the consumer's taste. Similarly, feasibility studies require the analysis of financial arrangement for execution of projects. Such analysis includes the following: equity participation, long-term loan, medium and short-term loan, interest rate and loan repayment terms, and moratorium. Market studies and demand analysis. A market study is a systematic inquiry seeking to gain economic information about the environment of the project and forecast the future trends so that the enterprises may react most efficiently to changes. The purpose of market studies in project analysis is to estimate a potential demand for the products of the project and its growth rate over a number of years. The knowledge of this will also help to determine the size and location aspect of the project. It is useful, however, to note that market study is paramount to project analysis, as no project will succeed without reasonable market for its products. In market studies, we consider certain important factors. 1. The government regulation regarding the projects. 2. The competitors available in the market. 3. The product's current price prevailing in the market. 4. The consumer's taste. Since demand is a function of price, consumers' income, taste, and preferences, the demand analysis shall involve the collection of both quantitative and qualitative data about the number of consumers, their tastes and preferences, the competitors, and the prevailing current market prices. The type of data to be collected will vary with the type of product to be produced. Generally, 4 types of products can be distinguished. 1. Consumer goods. These are goods for final consumption. They may be durable goods such as radio, fan, refrigerator, motor car, furniture, or non-durable goods such as foodstuff, soft drink, soap, cloth, and so on. 2. Intermediate goods. These are goods that serve as raw materials for the production of final consumer goods. For example, steel, cocoa, wheat, rubber, cotton, skin, and so on. 3. Capital goods. These are goods which are not used up during production but are used for the production of other goods. For example, typewriter, computer system, sewing machine, printing offset machine, and so on. 4. Public goods. These are invisible, non-marketable goods such as pipe-borne water, road, public recreation, and so on. The estimation of demand for consumer goods. Demand can be estimated in 2 ways: the econometric and extrapolation method. The economic method of demand estimation. This is an extremely useful method for research and forecast. It consists of a model expressing the relationship among several variables and a determination of the degree of confidence that can be placed on such relationship. The demand for a product. Take 2. The demand for any product is a function of price of the product, price of other products, tastes, income, and population. This can be expressed in a functional relationship shown below. If actual figures are supplied, we can conveniently determine the expected demand of any project by using this formula. The major drawback of this method is that of data requirement. The larger the observation, the better the estimates of the coefficients A, B, C, D, and E. After estimating the volume of demand, we can forecast into the future what each of the parameters A, B, C, D, and E would be. After deriving the total consumption, we would subtract the current demand to provide for the share of the market by the competitors. The extrapolation method. This method requires a long series of data in order to present short-term changes in general economic conditions. It is usually difficult to obtain such long series of data in the developing country. The assumption of the method is that the past experiences such as consumption growth rate and other factors that affect consumption will continue in the future. This method is useful when there is no other method that can be used and when an assumption can be made that the circumstances of the past will continue to prevail in the future. Estimation of demand for intermediate goods. Intermediate goods and services are those used as inputs in the production of other goods and services. Although the demand for consumer goods is usually affected by variation in income, the demand for intermediate goods is more directly affected by the demand for the goods and the services in whose production they are employed and the proportion in which they entered into such production. Where there are many uses for intermediate goods to determine its demand, it is necessary to know the entire system of industrial relationship involved. It may not be possible to have this information. Hence, the study will have to be limited to the principal sectors or activities which use the goods and services. Iron and steel are examples of intermediate product that is used in production of one or a few consumer goods and services. The estimation may first be made for the demand for the consumer goods, and then calculation of the demand for the intermediate products can be made on the basis of technical relationship, that is, input-output coefficient. The future demand for intermediate goods and services will depend on two basic sectors. 1. The growth of existing enterprises, which requires these goods and services as current inputs in their production. 2. Structural change leading to the installation of enterprises of different types, which will also require these goods and services as current inputs in their production. Estimation of demand for capital goods. The demand for capital goods is a derived demand depending on the demand for final consumer goods and for the intermediate goods required to produce the consumer goods. From the project point of view, a study of the demand for specific capital goods such as electric motors, machine, tools, tractor, lorries, and so on involves A. Sources and uses. Studies of the capital goods in question and the establishment of the corresponding technical relationship, that is, capital output coefficient. B. Investigation of substitution possibilities for other capital goods. C. Examination of the incidence of structural changes in the economy on the demand for the particular capital goods. D. Knowledge of the durability of the capital goods. This involves calculating the rate of depreciation. E. Study of possible substitution of human or animal labor by the capital good, that is, mechanization. Comparing production and purchasing statistics in any enterprise or group of enterprises cannot determine the technical relationship between production and the input of capital goods. A more careful analysis is necessary because of A. Possible technical innovations. B. Possible variations. The intention of use of installed capacity during the period, one or more shifts leading to more rapid wear. C. Changes stemming from economic policy from one form of energy to another which will affect the demand for the capital goods. For example, electrification of rural areas may lead to an increase in demand for electric motors and other electrical equipment. The projection of the demand for capital goods must consider the following factors. 1. The replacement of capital goods at present in use and which are nearing the end of their useful life. The basic information needed to project demand for replacement includes the number of units at present in use, their age composition, and their probable useful life. 2. The expansion of installed capacity at present production lines. The demand arising from that aspect may be estimated from the technical relationship between the required production volume and the capital goods needed to achieve it. For example, the number of meters of cloth which can be produced by one loom. 3. Possible technical duration in production methods. To estimate the demand arising from the aspect is difficult. 4. Structural changes in the economy leading to the production of new items. The effect of structural changes on the demand for capital goods can be satisfactorily estimated only when the development programs are in process. Analysis of financial structures and loan terms. Feasibility studies require the analysis of financial arrangement for execution of projects. Such analysis includes the following. 1. Equity participation. 2. Long-term loan. 3. Medium and short-term loan. 4. Interest rate and loan repayment terms. 5. Moratorium. 1. Equity participation. Equity participation represents the total funds required for the funding of the project divided into proportions to be contributed by the owners or shareholders of the company. This usually constitutes the most important source of initial capital for most Nigerian projects. This source of capital often takes the form of savings from the owners. 2. Long-term loan. This is a loan granted by the specialized development banks like Nigeria Bank of Commerce and Industry, NBCI, Nigeria Industrial Development Bank, NIDB, and so on, whose repayment can exceed a year. Short and medium-term loan. These are loans that can come from the commercial banks in forms of loans and overdraft, whose repayment does not exceed a year or at most 2. Interest rate and loan repayment term. A. Interest rate. Interest rate is the payment made for the use of capital invested in a project. It is calculated either by a declining method or a compounding interest method. The interest rate based on declining balance is less costly than that of compound method. The method of calculation must be known and stated in the feasibility report for reasonable cost projection. B. Loan repayment term. The loan repayment term is the condition given for the liquidating of the loan. The feasibility studies must reveal the length of time the loan is expected to be repaid and distribute them over the lifespan of the project. The longer the repayment period, the costlier the borrowed funds. 4. Moratorium. Take 2. 5. Moratorium. Usually, financial institutions do grant a grace period during which the principal is not required for repayment. This grace period is referred to as moratorium. The intention is to allow the investor settle properly and adjust for reasonable business activities. The moratorium usually takes between 6 months and 2 years. Below is an example of possible financial structure. As shown in the above table, the total funds required for the financing of the project is 1 million. Out of this amount, the equity contribution is 600,000 naira, which is 60% of the total capital outlay. The short-term loan is 150,000 naira, which is 15% of the total capital outlay, and the long-term loan is 250,000 naira, which is 25% of the total capital outlay. The short-term loan attracts 21% interest, whereas the long-term loan attracts 17% interest. This is the end of study session 8. Thank you.